Welcome to Brainstorms. I'm Anna Tizard, award-winning dreampunk and deeply weird fantasy author. And yes, that's me and my fiction that's deeply weird. Explore and imagine with me the most unexpected story ideas using the Surrealist word game of Exquisite Corpse. Find out more and join in at annatizard.com. This is a storytelling challenge unlike anything you've tried before. Hello, imaginative people. I'm Anna Tizard and this is episode 22 of Brainstorms. I hope you're keeping well and it's not too chilly or too grey where you are. It is extremely grey where I am right now in the southeast of England. But hopefully some surrealist word games and story brainstorms will bring some colour and inspiration and imagination into our day. Now, since the last episode, I've been drafting a rather curious tale about a jewel thief. It all began with one of the exquisite corpses that came up in the last show, which was, and this is a spoiler alert if you haven't listened to episode 21, the tenacious calculator gazed from behind the curtain at the prismatic unicorn. Okay, that sounds bonkers, but I promise you, I'm going to make it make sense. Now, with the prismatic unicorn, I was thinking along the lines of a diamond cut into the shape of a unicorn. And the tenacious calculator is someone who knows about valuing jewels, is an expert in antiques and things like that. The bit about gazing from behind a curtain made me think about an auction with the diamond being hidden from view on a raised platform or a stage or something like that. And that would be the thief's opportunity to perhaps disguise themselves as a security guard and get to it while it's still hidden behind a curtain. But as I started writing, I found myself drawn into something a bit more complex. A young woman is an antiques dealer. In fact, she works with her widowed father in his shop, trying to help keep the family business afloat while the bills stack up. I've called her Sasha. I quite like androgynous names, where you can be a man or a woman with that name. Anyway, that's just me. So while Sasha is at a car boot sale, bargain hunting for stocks that she can price up and then sell on, she's approached by a very tall stranger, and he offers her a fantastic markup on the clock she's just bought for, say, 25 quid. But as he hands her a wad of cash, she gets a weird tingling sensation in her hand. A week later, it's faded somewhat, but it increases, even itches horribly, whenever she sees a jewel. It seems the more valuable the gemstone, the more her fingers itch. And just as she's standing outside a jewellery shop, lusting after an emerald set ring, wondering what on earth this can mean, the stranger appears again and he challenges her to test this sensation, this magic he's implying that it is. If she touches the emerald on the ring that's on display, the itching will go down like it's satiated. If he's wrong about this, she can walk away and she'll never see him again. But if he's right, she has to at least stay and listen to the next opportunity he's about to offer to her. And of course, this will be to steal for him for a decent cut of the resale price of whatever it is that she steals. And that's obviously going to lead to this moment with the unicorn, the prismatic unicorn. That will be the major theft of the story that this is building up to. But while she's standing there outside this jewellery shop initially, why should she even give him the time of day to say all of this? The problem is, he knows all about her and her father and their business, their money troubles, and she needs some quick and easy cash. Is it the right thing to do? No, but she's running out of options. And this stranger, whom she'll come to know as the boss, shows her a way in which her not thieving for him will be an even worse moral choice. It is, as ever, stranger than strange that these ideas grow and sprout as I write. I cannot just sit back and brainstorm ideas into these more complex and advanced shapes. All the detail, the minutiae, who the characters are, and how things sort of look to me in my head, and what the direction of the story is, or what it feels like the true direction of a story is, where it wants to go. This is only discoverable to me once I force myself. Sometimes I enjoy it, but at the beginning I quite often have to push myself to start actually drafting. And that becomes the beginning moment of true discovery of all these extra details. And lately it has been a bit different during the last week because my laptop is sick and is at the menders or the vets or whatever you want to call it. So I had to start drafting by hand in my A4 lined exercise book, which is fine up to a point. I often handwrite when I'm on the commute, but since the pandemic, now that there's thankfully more flexibility in my job for working from home, at least as much as I go into the office, it's like 50-50 or even less, I'd say, I've come to prefer typing up straight away. But pre-pandemic, looking back, I would draft everything by hand in the mornings on the bus, so my already hideous handwriting was just all over the place, with the bus tipping all over the place and people bumping into me. I had no idea how I managed to read what I'd written afterwards, but that's what I would do in the week, and then at the weekend I would go over what I'd written and consolidate, edit, just review everything. But that put a lot of pressure on my weekends, as a lot of material to go through and assess and potentially type up as I edit, which is a thorough kind of edit. I actually think it's one of the best ways. If you can do it, it's just so much more work that way. So I'm very glad of the change in general when I can move to writing straight onto computer as a general rule. But maybe along the way I've lost sight of the value of dabbling in longhand with these first inklings of a story idea. I think with the computer screen and my ability to type so much faster than I can handwrite, the digital blank page is probably more intimidating than my scruffy little notepad. On paper, it feels so unofficial, and somehow there's less pressure to produce something really good straight out. So all hail the blank page, the type that you can touch and make an absolute mess on, as I do. Because if you're anything like me and your story writing process is quite messy, just like my handwriting, then this can help loosen you up to explore and experiment, which is one of the very best things about short story writing. It's such a good exercise for the imagination, with so much less opportunity to get bogged down, as you really can get bogged down when you're writing a longer piece. Anyone who's tried to write a novel or has written them successfully, you'll know there are times when you're going to get completely bogged down and you have to do a lot of logical thinking outside of this kind of bubble of inspiration. Whereas with short stories, you just don't get the same structural issues, and you can spend more time in this extremely fun bubble of imagination and pure inspiration. So now I think it's time to seek out new story ideas, new possibilities. So grab a pen and a pad, or just grab your imagination by both hands as we dip into the socks of destiny. That's right. Now, for anyone who hasn't played Exquisite Corpse before or hasn't listened to the podcast before, an Exquisite Corpse creates a very strange sentence by randomizing different people's words into a structure that goes describing word noun, action, describing word noun. So thank you to everyone who sent me words via my play page at annatizard.com. Anyone can do this, and I will jot down the words and put them into the 3 socks of destiny for the 3 different types of words. You can, of course, do this anonymously, or you can leave your name and tick the box to say that yes, you're happy to have a shout out. So let's see what our first word is. This is from someone who's opted to call themselves Walk On Poo, and this is poo with an H at the end. I just wanted to add that. Jaywalking. Okay, so our first thing is going to be jaywalking, but what is that thing or person? Let's go to the noun sock. This is from Michael Clayton, Lord of the Manor. So we have a jaywalking Lord of the Manor. Okay, well, I guess he feels privileged. He's allowed to walk however he wants. So that kind of works. He thinks that this road belongs to him anyway. So what is this car coming across his path, his road? Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I've got an action from the action sock. This is from somebody called Styler. Purged. Wow, that feels really harsh. Purged. Interesting. Let's find out our next describing word. This is from a Twitter ID, Tess_2020. Stringy. Ooh, that's rather physical. Stringy. Makes me think of stringy cheese. Okay. I don't think it's going to be cheese though. What's our final noun? This is from Tammy Newvert. Piglet. Okay, we're off to a random start, people. Of course we're off to a random start. The whole thing is random. I'm just going to read this out to you, okay? All in one. So, the jaywalking Lord of the Manor purged the stringy piglet. Okay, I'm just going to pause so I can jot this down. I recommend that you make use of the pause button too. Gotta love that pause button. It's got to be my favourite button of all time, other than the chocolate buttons, of course. Right. So we have a purging on our hands. But why does this stringy piglet need to be purged, cleansed? Oh, perhaps that's why it's stringy, because it's not well. It's eaten the wrong thing. It's eaten something that's upset its stomach, and it hasn't been eating as much as it should. Hence, it's become stringy. Purged, the stringy piglets. But what on earth is a Lord of the Manor doing with this piglet? This jaywalking Lord of the Manor who walks wherever he wants. He considers everything to be his. So how did he come to help a young pig with health problems? We may well ask. Perhaps he strayed too far from his big house, got splashed with mud, and he's ended up in the adjoining farm. And there's a farm worker who's got this little squealing piglet who's not at all well, and she doesn't recognise him because he is that splashed with mud. Perhaps she just hasn't paid attention to who he is. She doesn't care. She's a very down-to-earth woman dealing with farm animals and has no time for people with airs about them who reckon they own everything. But purge seems such an extreme word in a way. It makes me think that, well, he doesn't have to believe it. Maybe the woman in the farm believes that it has an evil spirit in it. Something like that. I wonder if... No, maybe it is just simple illness. And I'm just looking at this thinking, could this be just the very beginning of a story where this Lord of the Manor ends up spending so much time at the farm working with these animals, and he starts to grow sympathy, even empathy for these simple creatures, and the workers as well, who he's never bothered spending time with before. That by the time he goes back, something's happened, something's changed at the manor. Someone's taken his place, an imposter, and somehow they've convinced all the servants at his manor house that they are the true Lord of the Manor. And he's just a worker. I mean, look, he's covered in mud, isn't he? Oh, so this is just like the beginning of something. Not rags to riches, but riches to rags. Okay, seems like he has a bit of a journey going on here. But who is this stranger who's turned up at the manor claiming his title and all his possessions and rights? Interesting. Okay, I think it's time for the second Exquisite Corpse. Let's see. I've got a describing word from Fraser Armitage. This is severe. Right. Let's have a look for a noun. This is from Paul Benfield. Fog. What is a severe fog? Oh, I suppose, yeah, like you get severe weather, but it just, I don't know, I think of the word severe and I was expecting a character, not weather. Okay, well, we'll see where that goes. In the meantime, got an action which is from Alessandro Bozzo. Rolled down the hillside with. So we've got a rolling fog, people. Is it its severity that gives it the ability to roll? Oh, right, okay, next word. This is from Joseph Clark. Future. Oh. So what we have rolling down the hillside is a fog and something that occurs in the future, because that makes perfect sense. Okay, challenge accepted. This is from Anonymous, the final word. This is dog. Goodness me. Oh gosh. Okay, let's not go any further without some green tea, for goodness sake. Dear me. Right, let's see if this helps. Okay, we have the severe fog rolled down the hillside with the future dog. It's like a tangle of impossibilities, things that don't quite exist or shouldn't exist. A dog from the future and a severe fog. Well, I suppose that could exist, but it's just so weird. How can it roll down a hillside, for goodness sake? They've kind of got jumbled up, things that shouldn't be. Something makes me think that there is a magician nearby, a wizard who's been messing around with magic, with portal magic, of course. Of course they've been messing around with portal magic in the top of their tower, and something's gone very wrong. They have overstepped the mark. They've gone too far. They've been messing around with magic that is just a little bit beyond what they're used to playing with. And maybe it's just because they're power hungry, or maybe there's a problem they're trying to solve. They want to go into the future to see what's there because they think their life here there's not enough going on in their life. I mean, they're living in a tower on their own, for goodness sake. Perhaps they failed their wizard exams, and so they've shut themselves away to try and prove to themselves that they can create something. While they were studying for their exams in their wizard university, perhaps they had an invention. They came up with something, and the professor just laughed in their face when they described it to him. But this all kind of distracted them from getting on with their studies. They worried about being taken seriously in the wizarding world. And of course, when they failed their exams, rather than perhaps considering, okay, maybe I should go back to my studies and see if I can push through, they locked themselves away in anger and the kind of defensiveness of, well, actually, I am really talented, and I've got something to show the world. I'll show them. So they start messing around with this portal magic, and it ends up with a future dog leaping out. Who knows what else? But amongst many things that leap from the from this portal gone wrong, this hole in the air that has exploded, unfortunately, there's a future dog and a severe fog. Is it weird that they rhyme? Maybe. I need more green tea. Okay, yeah, this is certainly a strange one. I think the key to the story perhaps lies in what the magician or wizard is trying to get to in the first instance, why they've created this, or why they've blown open a portal, why they are trying to meddle with these powers. Is it just because they failed their exams, or is there something else they're searching for? Someone they love, or maybe they're looking for love itself in the future. That's the only way they can find it, is by going to another time. Perhaps they think there's more opportunities for work in either the future or the past. Perhaps they try to get into the past thinking, well, I will be a really talented wizard in the past because I've got all these more modern techniques and knowledge, and I can really wow people in the past and show them some real magic. And they need never know that I failed my exams. But then in trying to create that portal and go back in time to start a new life, it goes wrong and they end up with a portal into the future. And perhaps a portal that they can't go into, only stuff and things come out of it. It's interesting. I like it. I'm not quite sure where it's going, but it's a good start. And I think it is time for number 3. Let's see. Right, this is from Laurie Alden Haluta, Long Suffering. Okay, that kind of sets the tone for who this person will be, if it's a person and not a severe fog. Let's see, who's this? This is from Fraser Armitage. Ice cream. The long-suffering ice cream. Okay, I'm going to need some more green tea. But let's just see, first of all, what the long-suffering ice cream is up to. If I can just disentangle these actions. They're all grappling for a go, but climbing up my hand. This is from Paul Thomas. Travelled through time to see. I can see there's a theme. There's a theme going on here. I mean, it's portals. You know I like writing about portals in one way or another, but we've become very literal about this, about the creation of portals. Oh my goodness. That's the long-suffering ice cream. That just takes the biscuit. Okay, let's see. We have a describing word from, it's a Twitter ID, Becky_Clough. Jazz playing. Of course. Okay, I'm not judging, you know. I'm not until we've got a noun in place. I'm not going to judge the Exquisite Corpse until it is laid out for us. Okay, who is this? This is from, it's Twitter ID, Sarah Jean M. I don't even know how this is pronounced. Echidna. I have written a note for all words that I'm unsure about. I write a little note alongside in tiny scribbly handwriting. An echidna, in case you do not know, is a spiny insectivorous mammal. It's a bit like a large, long-nosed hedgehog to look at. Okay. I don't know if any amount of green tea can save me from this exquisite corpse, but let's look at the whole thing all at once. We have the long-suffering ice cream travelled through time to see the jazz-playing echidna. Do you know what? I think I would travel through time to see a jazz-playing echidna. Okay, because that would be a thing to see. In fact, their long snout. I mean, it's making me think about brass instruments in a cartoony kind of way. I mean, okay, I think I need more green tea. Oh, goodness. The things I do for a story idea. Right. Okay, I'm thinking about the long-suffering ice cream, to be fair, but because of the way the sentence kind of forces them to be, it's forcing us to come up with a person with this, because it's saying travelled through time to see, okay, and it have an object seeing things. I'm going to cheat slightly and say this is a long-suffering ice cream seller, yeah, who travelled through time to see the jazz-playing echidna. So she owns an ice cream van, but she dreams of having a cafe of her own, maybe a late-night cafe with strange cocktails and weird decor in bright colours, reminiscent of the massive range of flavours of ice cream that she sells, but just takes it to the next level, in which strange stories can be told, and the poetry slam nights and weird jazz played by suspicious looking strange looking beings covered in spikes with little snouts. It feels kind of Star Wars bar right now, but I like it. I want a cafe like that. What would the menu be like? Would you have a magic menu where you can order music, visuals, strange cocktail that will make you feel things? Or maybe you could have drinks that when you, like very special green tea, that when you drink it, a story unravels for you in your mind. Or it sounds kind of hallucinogenic, but if it's magic, it's like, no, this is a magical place. Yeah, I confess I have had ideas in the past that haven't quite come to fruition about a way to gather together some Exquisite Corpse story ideas, and present them in the form of aspects. I'm just trying to explain it properly. Things that may happen that come from or are based around a surrealist cafe. Okay, there's something magical about a particular cafe, and in the same way that you might pick something from a menu, you pick words. You can mix together words, and then these stories happen, or that they become actual happenings for this innocent, ordinary person who just wanders in and thinks it's just a very colourful looking cafe. But very strange things start to happen when they select their Exquisite Corpse cocktail, which could, of course, be made up of any 5 ingredients that are behind the bar and mixed together to create something strange. And they're encouraged to walk through a door to another part of the cafe, and the Exquisite Corpse cocktail in some way creates this bizarre happening. That could involve jazz. That could even involve echidnas playing jazz with their snouts. Yeah, but it hasn't really taken off. It's just this Exquisite Corpse is reminiscent of that idea as it floated past my brain and sort of waved at me saying, "Oh, you'll write me one day you'll see." And off it goes into the distance. Well, perhaps I will write it one day, and I think I will have to use the jazz playing echidna, and maybe this innocent customer who comes in is a long-suffering ice cream seller. Or maybe that's the owner. The owner is the long-suffering ice cream seller, yes. Okay, that was completely bizarre. As you would expect. But you don't have to write completely bizarre stories. You can pick anything from these. Yes, I go to the extremes because I love the challenge of an Exquisite Corpse and trying to make sense of a whole Exquisite Corpse is one of my things I like to do. It's an imagination exercise, keeps my imagination limber for my writing. But let's have a look back over these. So the jaywalking Lord of the Manor purged the stringy piglet. Well, actually, that kind of worked in a sort of an ordinary way, in that it was riches to rags. Something strange going on where someone takes over the manor, and everyone pretends not to know him just because he's been in a farm for a couple of days helping out with an unhealthy piglet. Very odd, but it could still work in a non-magical way. If you're writing something that isn't fantasy, if you like thrillers and things like that, you could do something with that. Yes, it would be weird, but it wouldn't have to be that weird. Then the severe fog rolled down the hillside with the future dog. Okay, well, you could Severe fog. You could just try writing about a severe fog on its own. Rolling down the hillside. I have seen fog move. I saw a mist cross the road once. It was in autumn, and in some parts of, I think it happens really in sort of countryside areas where fog can do strange things like that. You could just write about fog and the mysterious feeling that it gives you and the horrible cold wetness that comes over you as it floats past you. But then what happens? Just describe the fog and just see where your imagination takes you. It doesn't have to involve future dogs or rolling down a hillside. And then the last one, well, travelled through time. You could just take that, if you're into time travel. But that was a truly bizarre one. But yeah, a long-suffering ice cream seller. Again, you could write about a character, build a character whose life is involved being stuck in this van, where all they really sell is ice cream. But perhaps they're on the run from a previous, very ordinary life, and something awful happened to them, and that's why they're sort of forever travelling in this ice cream van. Or maybe it was a positive decision. If they love selling ice cream, what adventures might they go on, travelling from place to place? They are completely free and unbound by the usual 9-to-5 office jobs that lots of people have. So there's lots of different things to explore here if you're not as weird as I am. So that's it for today. I hope I've inspired you, if not merely entertained you. Thank you for listening. Go forth and be inspired. I hope you enjoyed today's Brainstorium. You can find out more about Exquisite Corpse and my series, The Book of Exquisite Corpse, at annatizard.com. Subscribe to my e-newsletter and you'll get Volume 1 for free. And while you're there, why not submit a few words to the Socks of Destiny on my play page? You may inspire me or inspire yourself to write a unique new story. See you next time.